I come here. I was born and raised in Washington, D.C. I graduated from the University of Maryland, College Park, got a nursing degree from Salisbury University, and then I did my master's and postmaster's work at Georgetown University. I got here by boat. Quite honestly, we had a racing boat down in Cambridge, and we raced heavily for 25 years. But that was after we moved here because we moved to be close to the boat so that we could be close to the racing on the bay. And that's how we ended up here in Oxford. I have a love of healthcare, and with that as my career, and there was a big need, there still is a big need for a qualified primary care health personnel. And so I just slid right into my first position here, which was with Rob Sanchez and Mike Crowley over at Easton Family Physicians. And then after a bit, decided that I wanted to start a nurse practitioner practice. And so that's when I really got involved in politics. We've had continual primary care provider shortages on the shore. And as a primary care provider, as a nurse practitioner in the early 2000s, we were not allowed to practice independently. We could write prescriptions, we billed under the physician's name, etc. So I became involved in the Nurse Practitioner Association of Maryland, eventually became their legislative chair and their president. And what we did is we worked on programs in order to facilitate nurse practitioners being independent. So we got legislation through working with and across the aisle with the Republicans, the Democrats, independents. We also worked with strong organizations, Nurse Practitioner Association, Maryland Nurses Association. AARP was very instrumental in pushing this forward because here on the shore we have so many retirees who didn't have a good primary care provider. It started in about 2000. We got the legislation passed in 2010, and then cleanup legislation passed in 2014. It's been tremendous. We have more nurse practitioners who are practicing independently. You look at your nurse midwives, you look at your family practice, but what has happened is the same thing that happened in primary care medicine. The money is in the specialties. And so now more nurse practitioners who trained in primary care are being sucked up by the cardiologist, the endocrinologist, the dermatologist, and we're back to a shortage again. I originally ran for office for the school board, and that was back in 2016, and I won, and I'm now the president of the Talbot County School Board. And that kind of evolved. I have a love of education, a love of children, and really want to see that whole system excel. I think you're talking more about what is happening with this particular campaign. If I feel strongly about certain things, justice, equality are very big in my life. That's what I build my healthcare practice on, and I see the chinks, more chinks, more chinks. And I think the big aha moment, which is different than what happened with the school board, that was a gradual, you know what, I could be of help here. I've got the business background, healthcare background, had kids, really interested in improving the school system. But this was different. This was 2 years of struggling with COVID. This was 2 years of feeling like the mole in whack-a-mole. It was watching systems fail, and no one seemed to really be able to grab the tiller and guide the ship. And so I thought somebody has got to speak up for the grassroots, for the basic services, because it's being ignored. And that's when I decided, Johnny Mounts decided to run for the Senate against Addie. The position was open. I thought, if you're going to do it now. And I did. It was like my father used to say, lead, follow, or get out of the way. And so this was one of those times where, first off, I understand that there are more Republicans on the shore than there are Democrats. However, there are quite a few independents. And the other thing that we have seen is a tremendous number of come-heres. In the last 2 years, we have probably seen more new folks come into the area, definitely into the practice, than we have seen in probably 5 or 6 years. So then I started to talk to my patients. I said, thinking of running for office. Great, go for it, but you're going to be my doctor, right? So, yeah, we can work, well, I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere. And that got to be consistent. Didn't matter. I have watermen, I have farmers, I have very far right people. And what they said is, you're always tell the truth. You're honest. I will vote for you, and I'll ask my friends to vote for you. And so that's why I decided, okay, this is a possible, and I'm going to make it a probable. Then we're going to win. So we can start. So we can start first with the healthcare piece. Everybody needs it. I understand it. I understand the deficiencies that we're having right now. I understand that we need to bring more primary care. Physicians, nurses, it's huge, PAs and NPs into this area. I understand what that is, what happens if we don't have it, and can present that. I have a whole packet of things that we can do in order to overcome these things. The next thing is the education system. If you look at how much funding is given to our education system, it's the largest percentage of any budget, any county budget and the state budget. So you want to make sure that you have the best system that you can possibly buy for your money. Right now, we have, and I understand very much because I worked with the Kerwin Commission, we have the Blueprint for Success, which is being implemented right now. So I have both the background in healthcare as well as in education in order to move those two very important things forward. I'm also very interested and have worked with environmental groups in the past. I'm endorsed by the Sierra Club, the Maryland League of Conservation Voters. Since living in Washington and participating in the first trash pickup on the Potomac, I have continued to participate in activities that would help clean up the environment. And if we all did it in small ways, it would not be as bad as it is now. So I have that background. And even though I understand how much and how important it is for places like Federalsburg to have really good business, when you're talking about putting the largest salmon farm in the world on the Marshy Hope Creek, I think you need to think about that very carefully and clearly. And I'm not sure that my opponents are capable of looking at the whole picture. This is one of the things that I have brought up continually in which we as a school board have protested against. If the state is going to mandate that we pay for X, Y, and Z, the state better have an idea of how these rural counties are going to pay for X, Y, and Z, or we will not be able to accomplish the goals that they have set. So we are already pushing back on that because they did not pay for the mandates that they wanted to put into place. One of the things that is kind of amusing, and my fellow board members say it, is I'm more conservative financially than the Republicans on the board. As a business owner, small business owner for 25 years, I understand the ebb and the flow of cash. And if you don't have it, you shouldn't be trying to do things that are needed. So that is a big issue. I agree with you. And that is one of the things I have in my platform, is that if state mandates, state has to find a way to pay for it. CRT is a very interesting thing. I'm sure you know that this was a legal investigation started at Harvard in the 60s. And it was just documenting areas where economically, legally, that they were showing that there was bias. And they did show that there was bias. Talbot County doesn't teach a college program that emphasizes or looks at. We teach the truth. We teach history as history happened and is written. Now this is very interesting because when we were having COVID, we would have parents who were calling left, right, coming into the office. I don't know how these teachers do this. This is so complicated. It's not like when I was a kid. Thank God we have teachers that are highly qualified and trained. So from that, we go to this situation where words are being thrown around at parents, systems are being thrown around at parents, and parents start to get confused because 6 months prior to that, they were really praising the teachers for what they were doing for their children and how well the curriculums were put together. And now they're being thrown inaccurate material that has got them confused. I would like you to know that every curriculum passes severe standards. They're nationally recommended, they are state evaluated, and then our teachers and curriculum experts review them. They review them for bias, for one thing, to make sure that we are not skewing the truth. They evaluate them for accuracy, appropriateness for the class. I don't think there are many parents that would want to go to that depth in order to look at each piece of the curriculum. But that's what we do. That is what we are paid the big $3,200 per year to assure is done. I think what has happened in the local area, and I mean the state as well as local, is that we have state candidates for governor and lieutenant governor who, as our Republican governor have said, are whack jobs. I think if you look at some of the candidates we have for local offices, they have bought into the Trump frenzy and the governor candidate frenzy. And I don't think that everyone is feeling comfortable with what is being said, what they are saying as representatives of the Republican Party. That, I think, is directly going to affect the election. I am told over and over again, we want reasonableness. We want calm. We want someone who can speak for us and understand that we aren't out to destroy the country or the Constitution. We want the order of law. And I think you do have a strong base that wants what we all want for the United States: strong Constitution, order, law and order.